I started the Olmsted Medical Group, and how I happened to start it was I returned here after being 2 years in the South Pacific as a transport surgeon. My first days, I remember the opening day particularly because all of Elaine, my wife's relatives, came, and she had lots of relatives, and there were also 2 patients. There were many, many more satellites. We began with just local satellite offices in town, and now we're out in the neighboring towns, of course. Well, I think that, again, the original values were that one doctor would take care of the patient, and that the doctor had to be competent and he had to be caring.
The 70th anniversary of Olmsted Medical Center means to me staying power. We are here because our community wants us here. We've continued to have the support of the community, and I think that we've continued to really serve the community well.
Back on those first days, we think back 25 years ago, we used a paper medical record, so didn't have electronic health record. Our organization was much smaller than it is today, fewer locations, fewer specialty services, but really joined a growing practice within the Department of Psychiatry and Psychology. We've had great expansion in our clinical practice. There's been a lot of growth in treatments that we're providing to our patients, both regarding treatment and diagnostic procedures. In regards to Olmsted Medical Center, our organization has grown. It might have doubled or tripled since I joined the organization. Our locations have expanded throughout, not just the community, but southeastern Minnesota. Have many more employees. We've grown to 1,300 employees, close to 200 clinicians, and our service lines have grown tremendously. When I think about the work that we provide at Olmsted Medical Center, I always think about our focus on patient care. We're all caregivers within the organization, no matter what our role is, and our focus has always been on providing the highest quality of care to our patients and working together to deliver that care.
Rochester is a very unique community, and Olmsted Medical Center has been an integral part of that for so many decades. I think it's remained the same in the sense that despite our growth, and that growth I hope has been very thoughtful and along with our mission and our vision. But I tend to think that we still have those same values, even though we have grown organizationally in different locations and different service lines. So I'd say we've changed, that we've maybe become a little bit more progressive in the primary and secondary areas because patients really do love to come to Olmsted Medical Center. But I also feel like we've been able to maintain that small organizational feel, and hopefully we'll always be able to remain that way. One of our values is that employees are a very integral part of our caregiving team, despite the fact whether or not you render care to the patient or you're on the other end of receiving a phone call. I believe people are very conscientious of making sure that we keep Olmsted Medical Center for the future. That is another value, that we have a responsibility to continue to not only reflect on the history of the organization, but preserve that. OMC's 70th anniversary, I think, is a milestone that very few organizations could probably achieve. When you think back over the course of 70 years in the healthcare delivery and how things have been changing from a small single physician practice to where we are today as an integrated model, providing care in so many communities in Rochester and outside and independent. It really is a credit to the folks that were there 70 years ago, to the folks who were there 50 years ago, to 30 years ago. Everything builds upon the legacy of those before you, and it's pretty impressive actually to hit a 70-year mile mark and still be as we are, which is an organization providing care in Rochester and the surrounding communities as an independent organization. So that's pretty remarkable.
Well, it's changed in a lot of ways. The most obvious way is it's gotten a lot bigger. When I started, there were 30 doctors, almost all in primary care. We only had 3 surgeons and no surgical subspecialists. And over time, we've gotten to be much larger, offer a much wider array of specialties and other services, and a much more complete multi-specialty group now than we were when I started. The basic mission hasn't changed, as taking care of people in our local area. I think the basic attitudes are pretty much the same too. The attention to the patients. The essentials of the group, I think, have stayed pretty much the same. I think our orientation toward people from our local area and working as a group, taking care of our patients. And I think those things have stayed constant, but the outward appearance things have certainly changed dramatically.
I think the most prominent feature is the growth of the group, the way it has continued. Initially, when we would talk about how much we wanted to grow, we thought, well, maybe 16 members. There were 5 of us then. But we went past 16 very quickly, and it just kept on going from there on. I think the care that was provided to the patients, that was always a priority, and I'm sure still is, and we offer ready availability of medical care to patients that needed it.
What has remained the same is the philosophy of Olmsted Medical Center. The philosophy of Olmsted Medical Center has always been that the primary objective of our being here is the patient, and everything we do addresses back to patient care, and that has been our passion, that has been emphasized by our colleagues and our administration, and so that has stayed the same. What's of course better is the technical capabilities and the laboratory tests and things that enhance our diagnostic acumen and abilities. The Olmsted Medical has really remained the same throughout the years because of its philosophy of patient care. Always the patient has been the primary reason for our being there and for our practice of medicine. And with that compelling mission, the values have not changed, and we still put the patient first.
I think the biggest change I've seen over the years, of course, is that we've gotten bigger. It was very exciting times, and there were great period of growth, for our department, and I could see similar growth in all the other parts of Olmsted Medical Center too. What has remained the same at Olmsted Medical Center is a deep sense of commitment to the Rochester community. I think that even despite of all the changes in personnel, in size, I think Olmsted Medical Center is still very much a part of the city and serving the people. It's not like we are some big golden ship floating on the national scene above the community. We are actually living part of it.
It was smaller at first, and there are some distinct advantages to that. I mentioned, the physical location. Right next to us was obstetrics and gynecology, and many times in urologic problems in women, there's a gynecologic component too, and having somebody close by that you can discuss things with was helpful. The internists were down the hall and to the left, and that was very convenient. In addition, there was a library, and it was in the group itself an opportunity to get together with your colleagues and talk about things. Part of it's medical, but part of it's a social thing, and that is sort of builds the rapport among staff. The electronic medical record on one sense is a big plus because so much is going on in our branch clinics, and now that information is immediately available.
OMC has changed in so many ways. When I first started as a nurse, we would admit patients to the hospital for cataract surgery the night before surgery, and then they would stay the night after surgery. So it was a 2-night hospital stay, and when we admitted them, we basically were just putting eye drops in their eyes. So the patient care has changed dramatically. Our first total hip patients had a length of stay of 7 days. Now most of them are staying 1 night. So it's been a big change in patient care. OMC has really grown. There was a time where I could walk down the hallway and I pretty much knew everybody by name. So I could greet everybody by name. Now I can't do that. I can still say good morning, but I don't know everybody's name because the staff has tripled in size. I think what has stayed the same in OMC is really the focus on the patient, and that people genuinely care about each other. You'll hear people say that our staff are they're a person, they're not a number. So I see real personalized patient care, and I see the staff working well together, and they truly do care about each other, and that hasn't changed.
I think the things that have stayed the same is that really medicine is about developing relationships with your patients. It's why we do what we do in healthcare, no matter what our position is that relationship we have with our patients and providing the best care we can.
So we've added providers, we've added buildings and facilities over time, we've added services, and we've really stayed up and to the latest technology and have added technology. What hasn't changed at Olmsted Medical Center is really our unerring commitment toward patient quality, and our patients come first.
You know, to Dr. Wente's credit, and those that joined him back in the day, I mean, their passion was about providing primary care, you know, to being available in the community for the patients who really wanted to receive care in a very intimate way, in a very sustainable way for many years, you know, within their own family unit. So I think that's really sustained itself, you know, over the course of 70 years, and that beginning legacy that Dr. Wente imparted as a vision and carried on by, you know, his successors in those leadership roles.
Well, the patient comes first, that get to know the patient, get to know his family, and do for the patient what you do for your own family.